So great. Let us start. So good evening, all the viewers that have joined live, and for those who are going to join and who are going to watch the recording. I am with Ramanathan Ramohan. Did I get it right, Ram? I'm sorry if I said it wrong.
Yeah, perfect.
Great. I call him Ram, so for me it is easier. He has got a vast experience in very varied fields. And as he himself says, he is a master of a lot of trades, okay, specialized in various aspects, and now has chosen a role of taking on a mantle of being a coach and a mentor. So we are really a pleasure to have you on with us today, Ram. Welcome to the session.
Thank you, Gren. Thank you.
So Ram, since you're here for the first time, can you give us a quick intro about you and your family and your experience?
Thanks a lot, Gren. It's my pleasure. Welcome viewers around the world and in India. Basically, my short name is Ram. That's how they call me. And I am from an entrepreneurial family, born with a silver spoon. We had a lot of assets when we came into business. But once I stepped into business, the first thing I saw was crisis. We lost all the good part of it. So straight away, I jumped in, I plunged into crisis management, where I was put into different roles, where I never expected I would be in. From there, my life had taken different turns. I became, from an entrepreneur, I became a working professional and started with the insurance field and various sectors of mining and manufacturing of pulp, mango pulp and all these industries. And everywhere I have just been into the crisis management. Wherever the management had a problem to address, those particular areas where the departments I was given to work in the first. So I had to prove myself to get into the better and bigger roles of the company. So I had a vast experience of these little crisis management, what do we call, the pressing points of the management at that point of time. So this is a short introduction about me, Graham.
Great, Ram. I mean, as you profess yourself, I mean, you have got such a vast experience. And I think we're having this session at a very apt time. It's not an ideal time, but an apt time with the topic, because today I think most of the businesses and our personal lives are going through this crisis with the current COVID situation that we are going through. So, I mean, what would be your take on crisis management, not just related to COVID, but in general?
Perfect, Glenn. You see, like whenever we call a crisis, there are four different, we can divide into four different parts, Glenn, actually. Like how we divide it is, the first is the potential. See, I would take COVID as the example because it's the best thing which we have lived through. People have already seen this in front of their eyes. So the potential risk was when the first case in Wuhan province, China was first traced. That was a potential threat for the world. We should have addressed this problem then, but we thought, okay, fine, it would be concealed and it would be confined to China, but that didn't happen. So from that potential phase, it came to the latent phase. So in the latent phase, what happens is the particular pandemic or the COVID came into our countries. It came into Kerala and Delhi starting with. So that was the latent phase. And it started slowly spreading across. So from the latent phase, we came into the acute phase. And the acute phase is the real where it just spreads out, where we have real first-time information about this crisis, how it spreads and where it goes and everything. And finally, we have the post-crisis. Now the crisis has hit us. We have seen everything. We know what is COVID and how we are going to take treatment. We lost a lot of lives in the starting. But now gradually, when we lived with COVID, we're slowly losing a little smaller proportion of the amount we were lost in the initial days. So we are starting to live with COVID now. And we have accurate data where we can go around with it and we can plan our futures. So this is how we go about a crisis management, Gren.
Great. I mean, that I think is very valuable advice on the way that things are managed. And in the crisis management situation, what are the things people normally do wrong? I mean, that is, I think, a very important thing to identify, right? That what they should not do rather than what they should do, I think is the very first step. So can you guide us in what are the things they should not straight away do?
See, like when we talk about manufacturing or in the personal lives or anything, then the first and foremost problem we do is we think the problem in hand is over and we just start out with a normal routine. Let us understand the problem is not over. Still, we are living with the problem. You cannot lead a routine daily life of what you used to do in February or January. After March 24th, things have changed for the permanent, and we cannot live the same life we had. We cannot have the same privileges we used to have. Things have changed. So, in crisis management, what we should not do is we should not be very, very quick to go back to the full steam like where we were previously. And 100% force, we go back and we tell everything is normal and we jump around. We are doing a grave mistake by doing that. I'm extremely sorry. I'm extremely sorry for that. And the next thing, what we do is we tend to relax and we tend to just forget about the problem, as I told you. So we cannot relax right now. That's the problem we are into. And post crisis for the managements, what we normally see is we see three kinds of losses. One we see is the public safety, which we all see in the case of COVID-19, because we say social distancing and wearing a mask, but now very few I see in the daily markets do this. And the second is the financial loss, maybe a company or for the personal life. The financial loss is always there. And how are we going to manage this financial loss is the second question we're going to address. And the last one, of course, for many big companies is a reputation loss, because they tend to close, they tend to downsize, they tend to do all sorts of crazy things where their name is at stake. So these are the three losses which we normally see on a post-crisis situation, Gren.
Great. That is really valuable information, Ram. Now, when it comes to personal lives, okay, I think that is the one that eventually all these crises affect in the end, right? We bring it home, and that becomes a personal issue beside being a career issue as well, because finally we are all working to take care of our families. So, in a crisis, what would be your advice to people on how to manage the workplace challenges that they have? Okay, and try to balance their personal needs at the same time.
Very valid and a true question, Gren, because today what the corporates expect, if you're working, for example, in HDFC Bank or some other bank or some other organization, post-COVID, what I've seen, when I've seen a lot of people whom I counsel, they expect to take 3 or 4 times the work which they previously did from the same guy. So he's really stressed at that point of time. He has to perform to stay in that particular job, or he's going to lose a job. And if he's not going to get that income, his house is going to go for a toss. So he's under the pressure of performing in the workplace. So when he works on that pressure, he brings the pressure directly home. He's not out of the pressure when he comes home. See, he comes in a mindset where he's still under the impression telling that tomorrow I've got to do this, tomorrow I've got to do that. Nothing at home runs for him. His family becomes secondary, which was primary initially, has become secondary now. Now the primary thing is he has to save his job, get his income, and say lead the same life. So that becomes the primary objective of the person. So what he tends to do is when he comes home, he shows that anger or that particular emotions at home. He's really frightened. He does not know what to do. He does not know when his job is going to be fired, when he's going to be fired from the job. So all this kind of stuff is undergoing. So this particular moment is really stressful, and managing stress is one art which we have to do it. And there are a lot of professional coaches who help you in managing stress by meditation and yoga and different things. And we have to get it straight. We have to get up early in the morning. We have to do our rituals like meditation and yoga, and then only go to our job. We cannot jump anything. If we jump certain things, we are putting ourselves under a tremendous pressure where we are going to face a lot of problems in the workplace. Because of this, you do a little bit of meditation, you get that peaceful mind. You can go and you can take up the pressure. You do yoga, you can be physically fit. I don't say yoga. You can even go to a gym. You can hit the gym for half an hour or 1 hour, do your regular exercises and come back and go to the workplace. You will be fit. Because today you need more of your physical and mental fitness rather than just going out there and performing. You'll have to have a clean work plan to go there. Maybe professional or for an organization, you need a process and a plan to be in place right now. Without this, you're not going to go anywhere.
Great, Ram. I mean, that was very valuable insights, and I think even for me, I could be something to apply even in my normal life about managing stress and managing the day-to-day things I have to do at work and balancing it with my life as well. So that is good input. Now, as your title goes, you are a manufacturer's scalability coach, right? So what would you be able to contribute to the situation to entrepreneurs who are going through this crisis today?
See, like for the management, the initial response should be quick. For example, I love the way Mahindra and Mahindra, Mr. Anand Mahindra came out. When the COVID situation broke out, he told my factories can be used to manufacture ventilators. He was proactive. He immediately came out with a solution. See, he didn't want his plant to stay idle and keep his people idle. So his quick response was, he told, I'm going to come out, I'm going to manufacture ventilators using my AC manufacturing plant. So that was an excellent response from a management. So this kind of a proactive response we would like to see from all the managements, a quick response. And second, we'll have to be accurate in dealing with the problem. See, that day we wanted ventilators to supply oxygen to the people who come in an emergency, because we had a lot of emergency cases. So that was, he was accurate in getting the point right. He wanted to do ventilators. And third point is to be consistent. See, when you're going to manufacture ventilators, the quality or the quantity has to be consistent. 1 month I do so much, second month I cannot do. That shouldn't be the way. You put a plan, as we always say in standard operating procedure. This is the way we lay down processes. It has to be laid down, and every day, if 25 units are going to come out, the 25 units have to come out. Come what may. You have the employees, you don't have. You have to make up, all that has to be done in the planning, how you're going to make up your manpower and everything, but that has to be consistent and accurate. And you have to be quick in your response. You cannot be just let the problem be over, then I will come and then I would see what is the damage. See, you cannot wait, because one, all the big companies have a huge exposure to financial companies and banks. You cannot take the time. You cannot, you don't have the privilege of taking the time to wait. You would be ending up in becoming a non-performing asset, where you would be losing huge on the reputation of the company. Because these guys have a dirty habit of straight away publishing in a newspaper telling that this company has become an NPA. So that really brings down the image of the company. So when you, in the society, when we maintain all this, we are forced to do certain things. We have to maintain our status quo, whatever we do. So these are the three things which we'll have to do. Is we'll have to be quick, we'll have to be accurate, and we'll have to be consistent.
Great. Now, from your, as a coach, how could you help them? How could you help take over the situation?
See, now the major problems we face is, Gren, like we have to form in a big corporate, because when we go to an MSME, see, we can divide this into two, or we can divide this into three phases. One, an individual, the second, an MSME, and third is going to be a corporate. For an individual, it's easy because he's an individual. He can assess the damage and he can straight away get into the damage control mode and he can come out. What I will always advise people is, don't go to your 100% team full force immediately. Slowly scale up. You see, you cannot keep, we have a very good saying in Tamil, agalakal vekkada abdimanga. Always don't keep a big foot and lose everything. Because when you're restarting operations, start it slow and steady. Go step by step. And then you come up to your levels where you can do good. So for an individual, it is easy, he can get in. But if he really needs help, I can really pitch in and I can help him with his financials, how to get things straight. Because the individual today, what he will face is the financial burden. Because he would have lost everything, 3 or 4 months, no business. He would have a huge debt to immediately service to the banks or the financial institutions. So that would be one point which he has to take care. And you would need additional finance to come in to do the daily transactions for him. So that will be for an individual. But when you go to an MSME, he has to again be sector specific. He has to see how his sector is performing and then get into it. For example, in Chennai, what I found, because I have these clients with me, in Chennai, what happened is a lot of hoteliers have closed. I have one hotel client. I told her, please don't close, because almost 60% of them are already dead. They have gone out of the business. So the balance 40%, if you're there in the business today and you survive, you are a success. If you die today, you're dead. Nobody's going to talk about you. And today the art, or today the mantra is to stay alive and come back into business. So how we are going to do this is going to work out a plan for an individual business depending on their scalability and their model and bring them out. And if it's going to be a corporate, we need to form 5 committees, basically. One is the PR. So the public relations has to be formed. Second is the legal team, which has to get into the legal mode and get all the things right. The third is going to be the operations team. How they're going to set the operations back right, because all of them would have gone back to the native places. Getting the workforce back is going to be a huge problem. And the fourth one is going to be the finance. The finance department has to put all the heads in and get the things straight. Because one thing which I've seen in a lot of places is people getting fired. I'll come to that point later. They cannot fire people just like that. I'll come to that later. But and the last one, of course, as I told you, is the human resources, which companies have to take accountability for the workforce. Have to really give some weightage for the people who have stayed with them for 5 to 10 years to 15 years and slogged for them and brought their industries to these levels. So we can divide this into basically 3 levels, and then we can take it. That's how we do it.
That's really very valuable information, Ram. And I think you would be the right person to get involved with these people and help them through this crisis. So I hope that people who are listening to this video reach out to Ram and take his help and utilize a person who has practical experience managing crisis himself, as well as also with experience as a professional, helping other entrepreneurs overcome their crisis situations too. So Ram, thank you for this time you spent with me, and you've covered quite a bit in this session. So we will leave the rest for the next session.
Just to add on, Gren.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, like what we can do is when an individual comes in, like for individual or MSMEs or for corporates, we have different types of funding, because these people think, where will I get a fund? Because already my balance sheet is no good. I cannot go to a bank. I cannot approach a financial institution. See, these are the certain apprehensions people have when they come back to business.
Correct.
Please don't be afraid. There are a lot of people, a lot of funds available. All the banks are flushed with funds. They don't want to give because they want to save. Tomorrow he gives it to you and he loses the money. He has his job in fire, in the line of fire. So he says, Baba, I don't want to give you a loan. I am safe this way. But let me tell you, friends, whoever is watching this video, 3 years of your balance sheet is perfect. You can get a loan in a bank. You don't want a bank loan because you have defaulted somewhere. You have taken moratorium somewhere. Okay, fine. There are financial companies which can help you. And if you talk about a financial company, how these companies help you is one by angel funding. We call it the startup funding. So when you're starting up a company, these angel fundings come and they give you the fund and they make you start up. So you can think, what business can I start in a pandemic? There are a lot of businesses. For example, the manufacturer of masks, it just took off like hell. In Tirupur, every bloody fellow put a sewing machine and started doing mask manufacturing. So that was one thing which is first innovative. Like all kinds of masks which came out into the market. So that was one thing where we can get angel funding. So now the angel funding is over. You want to go into the next category. You want to upscale. You can go on for seed funding. So we call this into the go to the next. So you say you don't have seed and angel funding. What do I do? We have something called crowdfunding, where we call upon a group of people, like-minded people, and this crowd invests in your company. They come and say, no, we will invest. We believe you. We believe your concept. And they invest in this. For example, once this COVID has started, we can see the number of companies in which Ratan Tata and Nandan Nilekani have invested. It's huge. The startups for Oyo, like all these companies were startups, and they have got, for example, Flipkart itself, the bundles, they were funded by basically by the bigger groups. And today he sold it for 1,600 crores and he's walked out. So these are certain success stories where you can get funding. It is not that, please don't have any apprehensions telling that I will not get a fund, I will not be able to do this. If you have any apprehensions, please do contact us. We will get you the funding. I will prepare the project report for you. I will do things for you. Because preparing the project report is the main key where we really tend to stumble upon, we have a block. I will do that for you. I'll be really happy to do it for you instead. Because if some business is getting really set up and going successful because of me, I'll be really privileged to do it for them. I can do it. And for bigger companies, we go for venture capitalists. Go for these. We have a lot of VC companies which are ready to fund here. Because today, let us understand the European and the American markets are suffering because of COVID, and they have a huge tally of COVID every day. Even last week, America had its biggest tally of COVID cases reported. I don't know, because of the transition, that it's their politics and their country, but we don't know. But these are certain data which I can give you. So those funds are coming into the developing markets like India and China. And China people today are afraid. So India, Vietnam, and Bangladesh are the markets today. And if you want to expand, friends, I have worked in Philippines, I worked in Madagascar, I worked in all different countries and different terrains. I can help you upscale the operations in different countries as well. I can go as a single-handed person and do this for you. Over to you, Glenn.
Great, Ram. I mean, that was very encouraging, and I am so glad you stopped me and covered this part of the conversation, which was the best part, I think, of the whole session we had. I think people now know the value that you bring and also how much you could actually help them when they are clueless of handling the situation themselves. So thank you so much, Ram, for this valuable time and sharing your thoughts on this, I think, day-to-day thing that's happening today, which is managing the crisis called the COVID. So we'll be back with you with another session in the course of the next week. Till then, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day and see you again.